Last week, Seth Rollins crushed Paul Heyman with a chair shot to the back and then a stomp. This week, Adam Pearce wanted answers. Bayley survived a gauntlet match and earned herself a title shot against AJ Lee. Penta kept the Intercontinental title in his hands while Grande Americano multiverse continues to spiral out of control. Judgment Day finally turned on Finn Balor, and CM Punk somehow managed to turn "I'm sorry" into one of the most disrespectful promos of the year. Yeah, Raw had some movement, but we still got a lot to go with a few weeks yet to WrestleMania, so let's get into it. Welcome to the T-Drop. Strong brew, no soft behavior. Welcome back to the next segment of Monday Night Raw Talk, where we talk about Raw, we talk about what we hopefully enjoyed of it, and hopefully what we wish to see that it can improve, but we will see. So, strong brew, no soft behavior. This week's Raw actually felt a little productive. Stuff happened, stories moved, people got folded in one way or another. Relationships cracked, and by the end of the night, we had a clearer picture of where some of WWE's biggest stories are headed. Bayley is now lined up for a major match next week. Finn Balor got done filthy by the Judgment Day. Usos may have chosen their side in the Punk and Roman situation. No, very obvious. And Seth Rollins has Adam Pearce looking into a man whose blood pressure monitor has started filing HR complaints. So let's get into the first segment of that night. We go to Seth Rollins and Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce opens up the show in the ring and says he has some unfortunate business to attend to. And anytime Adam Pearce says unfortunate business, you just know somebody's about to get warned. Suspended, fined, maybe threatened, or spiritually exhausted. I feel Pearce has done it all at this point. Pearce calls out Seth Rollins, but before Seth really even gets us to settle in, a masked man appears on the announcer's table. Then more masked people show up. Then they surround the ring. Then they get in the ring. Then they start dancing. I don't think it was dancing. I think they just mimicking Putty Patrol from the Power Rangers. I mean, I'm not the first one that said it, but I agree with anyone that said it online. They pretty much, the way they were moving, it looked like an episode of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. If you don't know, go on YouTube and look at it. It was ridiculous. Like, they could have looked threatening, but once they started dancing and all that, it's whatever. I get why they were doing that. They were trying to, it's basically the whole thing with put the mask on, and then as soon as Seth puts the mask on, he can scramble with the group, and they don't know where he went. I mean, they did a similar thing with Batman Begins, but I don't know why they couldn't take a page from the Batman Begins movie. The League of Assassins did it better. Why couldn't they? I guess the writing team never seen that movie. Whoops. So Seth Rollins has apparently built himself either a cult, a movement, or the most violent theater troupe in America. Eventually, they all leave except Seth. Pearce says he does not like this whole Vision situation. He says the stuff with the masked men is unacceptable. But then, he also admits he thinks the Vision deserve what happened. So Pearce is basically saying, officially stop that. Personally, I get it. He reminds Seth that he's only been back a few weeks and he still isn't medically clear to compete. Pearce warns him that when the Vision gets their hands on him, that could be the end of Seth freaking Rollins. Then you hear, "Hey yo!" and then Logan Paul appears. And Austin Theory, if you really care. So anyway, so they both appear. Logan says they're going to beat the bricks off Seth and all of his masked minions. I'm going to call them putties. It's not an edgy theater group. It's Putty Patrol, guys. Come on. Seth Rollins is Lord Zed and Becky Lynch is Rita. Get with the picture. They're auditioning for the next Power Ranger reboot whenever they decide to show up. Right. Theory says there's a bullet with Seth's name on it. Then they try to get towards him, but then the masked men come back into the ring, do their little dance Putty Patrol routine again, and scatter out of the ring like they heard rent was due. So with that, all of them were gone and disappeared. Logan and Theory are yelling at Pearce because of the Seth situation, but then all of a sudden, LA Knight's music hits, Knight runs down to the ring, throws Logan into the barricade, and Theory gets punched in the ring until Logan jumps in him from behind. Then the Usos come out. Jimmy and Jay hit the ring. Logan gets double super kick, and the baby faces clear the place out. The Usos look ready for a D, but Theory drags Logan out before it happens. Then they all hit the yeet celebration. LA Knight doesn't really commit to the yeeting, but he tries hard enough to avoid looking rude. Fun, okay opening, a little weird with the whole Putty Patrol situation, but I guess that's the best they can do. But most importantly, it keeps Seth's situation feeling unstable and weird, which is exactly what we need right now. Who is he going to face at WrestleMania? I don't know. Maybe he's teaming up with LA Knight against Division, or maybe he's going to, I don't know. Or maybe he's facing Brock Lesnar if they don't want Obafemi to do it. I don't know. We'll find out. Backstage, Jackie Redmond catch-ups with the Usos. Jay says Logan and Austin need to get got. Direct, efficient, honest. Then Jackie asks Jay about CM Punk's comments on Roman Reigns the previous week. Jay says he has nothing to say. Jimmy sort of stops him and gives a hint, maybe they do, maybe we do. And then they walk off, so WWE makes it very clear early on, Punk's comments last week are still hanging in the air, and that is coming back before the show ends. Driving home, Chief Maku. What's going on, Chef Maku? I said chief before. You're the chief of pastries, though. So
acknowledge me.
There you go. Just for you. Let's move on to the gauntlet match for the women's intercontinental number 1 spot, contender spot. Now we get the women's intercontinental number 1's contenders match. We have the competitors is Asuka, Bayley, Ivy Nile, Io Sky, Lyra Valkyria, and Raquel Rodriguez. This thing had a lot of packed in, but it worked pretty decent as a whole. The first two to start the match is Io Sky and Lyra Valkyria. They were the first two. We even get in on the screen the 2K26 ratings thrown in there. I think Io's labeled at 93 and Lyra at 84. So who's gonna win, guys? Who knows? Who knows? I wonder who wins, but we'll find out. They have a nice opening stretch. Good speed, good reversals, good energy. Io works the arm, Lyra answers back, and both of them get a chance to shine. Lyra gets a fisherman buster for 2, but when she tries to finish things, Io rolls through, lands a buzzsaw kick, then hits over the moonsault to eliminate her within a little over 6 minutes. It's a strong start to this, got the people woken up, so let's see who comes next. Miss Raquel Rodriguez. She enters. And by the way, in case you're wondering, yes, 2K26 also rated her, and she's an 86. She catches Io on a dive and starts bullying her around ringside. A lot of offense, power control, just throwing her weight around the way Raquel should. Io fights back after the commercial break, hits a Rana off on the top rope, lands a missile drop kick, then bullet train attack in the corner. She goes up to the top, but all of a sudden Liv Morgan distracts. Then the pyro hits, and out of nowhere comes Stephanie Vaquer. And you know she's pissed off. Stephanie and Liv start brawling each other on the aisle at the entry, and pure chaos, and they fight away from the ring. While that all is happening, Raquel's all distracted, and Io was able to roll up her for the 3 count, and there you go. So Io steals another pin, but then Raquel wrecks her afterwards, pissed off, with a shot and a Tijana bomb on the apron. So pretty much destroys her for her next competitor, which is our rising star, Ivy Now. By the way, if you guys are into working out and you want to get a strong bod, check out Ivy Now and her husband's YouTube. They set up a gym to create these videos about working out and all that. Maybe some IRL videos, I think. Oh, if you want to pump up for 2026, definitely check it out. There you go. Little promo there. And Ivy Now comes in and immediately pins the already destroyed Io Sky. That is the kind of opportunistic business decision I respect, because we need to raise these stars that haven't been raised yet. But unfortunately, the next thing happens, but I'm happy to see her. Bayley comes in, the role model. Bayley enters and Ivy attacks her before Bayley can even really get started. Goes to commercial break, and after the break, these two actually get some decent time in. Ivy got more shine than she usually does in her matches. And that was probably the best part of this whole middle section of this match. We got people that needed the highlighted. Bayley makes her comeback though. Ivy keeps cutting her off, and then Ivy hits a stalling vertical suplex so long it deserved its own sponsorship. It was very delayed, very evil, very nice. Eventually, Bayley survives the chaos and puts Ivy away with a Bayley to Bayley suplex at around 17 minutes into this match. Who's next? Asuka, but apparently they didn't give me an image for it, so we're gonna keep it here. Asuka enters, and now Bayley has to survive one more monster. And based on this image, you already know who wins. Kairi Sane gets involved on the outside though, but Bayley and Asuka go back and forth. Asuka gets in her submissions. Bayley has a couple of strong near falls, and it feels for a second like Bayley might be running out of gas. Then Kairi tries to interfere again, but Lyra Valkyria runs down and takes her out. Bayley gets back in the ring, escapes the Asuka lock, and finally hits the Rose Plant for the win. Bayley wins the gauntlet. Overall, I thought this was a pretty good match for business. Not perfect from start to finish, but it gave multiple women something meaningful. And hopefully the higher ups watch this match and potentially have better ideas in the writing room for future stories for these women instead of thinking half of them are in mid-card and they'll never rise higher. I look, as always, strong. Ivy got a chance to stand out, so please pay attention, guys. Bayley had to actually earn this match. And now she gets a big match next week against AJ. Also, it feels like it's been forever since the Rhodes Plant actually won a match for Bayley. So that stood out too. Bayley celebrates with Lyra while Asuka yells at Kairi as usual. Because when things go wrong in that orbit, somebody's always getting blamed. They've been saying for WrestleMania we're going to get a decent amount of women matches. I don't know. Maybe we're going to see Asuka versus Kairi. That's something I haven't seen in a while, or I don't even think ever. Is it a WrestleMania level match? Not really, since they didn't put a lot of story into it. Maybe it'll be for Backlash. Maybe she betrays her somehow in WrestleMania and lead it to Backlash, but we'll see. We get a few backstage segments after two big matches, and I hear you, a lot of backstage in one shot, but guess what? We spent 17 minutes in a gauntlet match, so what can you expect? We get a few backstage developments. First, Byron Saxton was interviewing Natty, and Maxine Dupree jumped her. Maxine kicks her down and pounds away until security breaks them up. So yes, Maxine is in her crash out era. Still, potential WrestleMania match. I am fine with this being a WrestleMania match. It just has to be one of the cool down matches after a high match, and people are, they have to. I think the biggest challenge for them is to arrange these matches for each night to make sure they balance cool down matches versus high energy matches. This is a cool down match. What's going on, DDH? Welcome in. Yeah, that's true. Bayley has needed a win for a while. She almost won last night at AAA. I was really hoping for her, but she got S over. But maybe something good for the future. We'll see. She has a future in AAA. I can see it. Then, the next backstage segment, we get Danhausen, who wants to talk to El Original Grande Americano about very important and evil thing. Original doesn't have time for him because he's preparing for his match against Penta for the Intercontinental title. And look, at this point, since Danhausen started, the curse is undefeated. It's been 0-2, 0-3 at this point. So he tells Danhausen to leave him alone because Danhausen, as always, a very curious person, wanted to touch Grande Americano's mask. But there is a serious rule when it comes to Luchador's mask, is that no one can touch it but the Luchador himself. So, of course, I'm pretty sure if he explained it properly and more respectfully to Danhausen, Danhausen probably would have understand. But, Original Grande Americano being Original, said it in a way that pissed him off. And of course, he got cursed. So, eventually, as always, in a Batman fashion, Danhausen disappears after cursing him. And then Americano starts walking towards the ring. But of course, you see from the back end, if you pay attention to the camera, the other Americanos going after him. So obviously, potentially, we know what happens. Now, Penta is in the ring cutting a promo before his title match against El Original Grande Americano, basically thanking everybody. He says the title is for the people who never gave up. that he represents dreamers and fighters, and that this championship is the result of hard work, sacrifice, and believing in yourself every day. Much respect to him. I'm so happy that he finally got this championship almost over a year. Over a year. Over a year. Very nice and very evil. He needs the TV monies. Yes. Make that bank. So good babyface championship promo. Very easy. He closes with Yo soy Penta. Cero miedo. Then El Grande Americano 2 comes out. And everybody watching has the same exact reaction Penta had. Who the F is this? And you obviously know Penta knows the difference between the two Americanos, and he get the rep to see that. For some reason, the rep said, "Oh no, that's Americano. No, that looks like him." I'm like, he's taller. How the hell? He's leaner. He's not buff like the original. Anyway, so obviously the curse worked once again, and we are now having a Penta versus El Grande Americano, not the original, El Grande Americano. The one loved by AAA audience, but hated by the American WWE audience, which is the reverse for El Original. I find that very amusing. Probably the only reason, one of the additional reasons, not the only, I apologize, the additional reasons why it keeps me engaged watching AAA. So yes, Americano is taking Original's place in the Intercontinental Championship match. The match itself was good, no surprise there from these two. Penta starts fast, Americano gets in his offense. There are some nice counters, some mask grabbing as always, and one hilarious moment where Americano poses with the title while the referee checks on Penta, like he's already won a battle. Back from commercial break, Penta rallies, sling blade, crossbody, near falls, reversals. And apparently, as always, because it's coming out that week, 2K26 has Penta shown on the screen at 84 and Americano at 85. That's messed up. Why is this Americano higher than Penta? Get the hell out of here. What? Anyway, which feels disrespectful and possibly criminal at this point, because freaking Penta, man. Eventually, Penta survives everything, lands the Mexican destroyer, and retains. Penta wins. Good match. Solid defense. Penta still feels important. Hopefully, we'll see what this leads up to for WrestleMania. Maybe it's Penta against both Americanos. Who knows? Honestly, Americano they put in there was probably going to have a decent match with him. So good showing from them. And that's another series of promos because it's Monday Night Raw and we got to set up WrestleMania very quick because we didn't think about it. Then we get Stephanie Becker responding to Liv Morgan. No, I'm just going to stay. There you go. You can see her. Kidding. Stephanie says she sees all the work Liv put in and all the skills she has, but what bothers her is that Liv has all the tools and is too stupid to use them. She says the Mudhuts made her who she is. She was forged in hell and fire. They took different roads, but both women have the talent to be here. The difference, according to Stephanie, is that Liv became lazy. Then she says Liv only sees herself as a cheap blonde and always takes the easy way, while Stephanie will keep making history as champion. That was not a very light promo. Stephanie definitely cooked her. Then backstage, Liv is with Raquel and JD McDonough and says at least she has friends in response to Stephanie's promo. Dominic shows up asking where Finn is. He's been trying to look for Finn for a while this night. JD runs off because he says, I'm going to go get him. And Liv and Raquel go with Dom to the ring, which means Judgment Day disaster is officially loading. So we get to the next segment. Dominic and Liv and Raquel head to the ring. Dom says Penta is walking around with his title and blames Finn Balor for it. He says he wanted to talk in private, but Finn forced him to air things out publicly. Then Finn and JD come out. JD was able to find them. Dom asks Finn where he's been and whether he got him a rematch from Adam Pearce for his Intercontinental title. Finn apologizes for costing Dom the title, but says he was trying to teach him a lesson. He tells Dom that if he wants to become the greatest Mysterio of all time, he needs to learn how to fight his own battles. The greatest Mysterio of all time. I was imitating Liv Morgan. Anyway, Then Finn says the more he's tried to help Dom, the more he thinks maybe Ray was right. Maybe Dom is just a spoiled little brat. And that's when everything breaks down. Dom shoves Finn. Finn Pele kicks Dom. JD eventually gets involved. Finn hits a sling blade, but then JD clotheslines him. Liv and Raquel jump in and beats the crap out of him while he's on the ground. All four of them stomp Finn down. Dom brings the bell hammer and a chair. Finn tries to fight back, but Dom smashes him in the face with the hammer. Then JD sets him up for the 619, and Dom follows with the frog splash. Important thing to notice is that Dom put the ring hammer inside his shoe to do the 619, so it hurt even harder. Then JD blasts Finn with the chair, lays it on him, and Dom hits another frog splash onto the chair while Liv and Raquel hold off the officials. That was a full-on group excommunication. Finn Balor is out of the Judgment Day, and honestly, it's been a minute since WWE gave us a proper "you are no longer part of the faction" beating, and this one did the job. Yeah, JD betraying Finn is sad, but it is what it is. We are now officially, I think, either in our fourth or fifth iteration of Judgment Day. The tweets between these people after the betrayal is hilarious too. Damian Priest saying you're new to this, or something like that, but anyway, let's move on. Backstage, Adam Pearce tells Javon Evans he has the week off and congratulates him. Then Kofi and Grayson Waller approach. Waller talks too much, to be honest, and Kofi sends him away. And then Kofi tells Javon he reminds him of himself. He says Javon could be a champion someday, but he needs the right people around him. So that's clearly a seed being planted for later. Then Jackie Redmond, somewhere else, catches up with Bayley and Lyra. Bayley thanks Lyra for helping her. Lyra says Bayley deserves to be a champion. Bayley says it'll be an honor to wrestle AJ next week, since AJ's one of her very good friends. You know, AJ used to wear the hugger shirts when she was here the last time in WWE. So there's a little history between these two. They even wrestled in NXT back in the day. Then Bayley says maybe after she wins the title, Lyra can get a shot at it too. So yeah, it's friendly for now, but that's also how all future tensions are born in the future. And Finn is turning face. Finn is going to turn face, and probably at this point, he's going to go against Dom for WrestleMania. I mean, it seems that that's the road they're leading to. Finn against Dom. Maybe it'll be a nice middle match. I hope it's very adrenaline-like. We'll find out. But I feel it's going to be an exciting match to watch. I just want them to promo it up like they can do it. Both of them can do it. Just need time, which we don't have. But anyway, we get Obafemi versus Rusev, a thing that's been building up for the past couple weeks. This was straightforward power wrestling, hard strikes, big collisions, a few strong moments for Rusev, but this was clearly designed to make Oba look like a monster. They hit each other, Rusev gets some offense in, even lands a Machka kick, but Oba survives. Blasts him with a running uppercut, tosses him across the ring, and finishes him with the fall from grace. And Obafemi wins. Simple, effective. Also, I'm old enough to remember when Rusev used to be the one flattening people like this, so time comes for us all eventually. Before we get to the CM Punk and Usos segment, they announced a few things happening next week. Obviously, the biggest thing, Brock Lesnar's coming back. Maybe Oba's gonna face him, maybe not. Maybe Brock stands in the ring like an idiot and no one answers. We'll find out. AJ Lee versus Bayley for the Intercontinental title. Chances are Bayley's not gonna win. AJ's going to take the belt to WrestleMania, and it's probably going to be against Becky, but we will see. Original, El Grande Americano, was announced to take on the other Grande Americano, a match that people said, oh, this is WrestleMania worthy. It's happening on Raw because it's not WrestleMania worthy. I don't think so. It's AAA worthy if they face each other, because I know that's what people will want. I don't think people will be excited in Vegas watching this match. They will be too quiet, which is not something we don't need right now. Roman Reigns returns. So now, starting, I believe, from this coming Monday, he will be on every Raw leading to WrestleMania. Exciting. It's a pretty loaded show next week. Hopefully it's a good show. We'll see. We get to the last segment. We get the main promo. We get a rehash of the promo CM Punk did with Roman Reigns and how it ended about being buried next to someone he loved and how the internet reacted. To recap, Punk says to Roman Reigns he has never respected him, and now he's going to force Roman to respect the position he holds. He says titles are supposed to prove who the best is, and the best defend them. He says the title exists because Roman refused to defend it. Punk says the fans deserve a fighting champion. So we get that recap. You know what happens after. Then the Usos come out. And this is not a yeet mode because we get, for the first time in a freaking long time, the Jey Uso of the bloodline. The serious one. The one that takes no crap from anyone. He was there for business. This is all business right now. Jey says Punk needs to apologize right now. Punk's asked why Roman sent his cousins to do his heavy lifting. Jey says they came out here on their own. Jimmy steps up, and props to Jimmy because he did probably the most genuine promos ever and probably one of the best I've seen him do in a long time. He is honestly, in my opinion, better in the mic if you give him the opportunity, better than Jey. Last week alone gave me that impression, but we'll see. Hopefully we'll see more of that in the coming weeks. Jimmy says this isn't about Roman, it's about respect. Punk then gets more personal. He talks about knowing the family for years, working for Alpha, learning under the family tree, knowing Lance and Samu, and respects the entire family, except Roman. Punk says he hopes Sika can see what kind of egotistical, plastic politician Roman has become. Jey is still not having it. He says Punk still needs to apologize. So Punk takes Jimmy's hand and says sorry. Then he takes Jey's hand and says, I'm sorry to you too. But in CM Punk fashion, he flips the whole thing. He says he's sorry Roman threatened them and their family. He says he's sorry Roman treated them and their family like garbage. Sorry Roman never publicly apologized for the way he acted. Sorry Roman disrespected Dusty Rhodes. Sorry Roman tricked them all into thinking he cares. And then Punk says if Roman really cared, Punk would be talking to him right now instead of talking to his young boys. That line landed like a brick through a windshield. Jey shoved Punk. Punk shoves back. Jimmy punches Punk down. Then Jimmy pulls Jey away and the Usos leave. And that's the end of the show. Obviously no Roman appearance since that was previously announced, but the message is very clear. The Usos are not sitting this one out, and they're siding with Roman. Overall, this was an okay Raw. Not a perfect show, but definitely a productive one that we needed heading towards WrestleMania. Bayley gets a real win and a meaningful next step. Penta stays strong as Intercontinental Champ. Stephanie Vaquer added more edge to her issue with Liv. Obafemi got another good monster building victory. Judgment Day obviously finally turned on Finn. And CM Punk dragged the Usos deeper into the Roman Reigns story than they expected. A lot of movement for one episode, and when Raw actually moves its story forward instead of stalling for time like it's been doing for the past couple of weeks, hopefully we'll get much better watch afterwards. But we will have to see. So let me know in the comments what your thoughts was on this biggest development of Raw so far on the road to WrestleMania. Was it Finn Balor? Tell me what you thought was the biggest part. Was it Finn Balor getting kicked out of the Judgment Day? Was it Bayley winning the gauntlet? Or was it the Usos stepping into the Punk and Roman situation? Let me know in the comments, and we will talk on the next Raw Talk video.